Oh, you know we going whale hunting now, y'all. Let's get
You
it.
say I keep it cool. Hey, look, it's not for long. I'm always off and on. Still you tag along. It's gotta take its toll.
What a time to be alive in South Florida as we find ourselves with yet another whale on a Miami sports team radar. And if y'all don't get the whole whale term, it's something Pat Riley coined a few years ago when they lost LeBron. And basically a whale is the elite of the elite when it comes to sports. Of course, earlier this year, the Inter Miami soccer team landed Lionel Messi. They just won the League's Cup last week. And then as I'm recording this video, which is actually Wednesday night, they just had another crazy comeback where Messi had a nasty assist to tie the game. They won in penalties and they are still undefeated in the Messi era. Also earlier this year, the Miami Dolphins landed one of the best corners in the entire game of football in Jalen Ramsey, and he's gearing up to return from injury sometime in December. And now we find ourselves with two more athletes, both considered to be at the top of their sport with strong ties to the Miami sports teams. Of course, we've discussed Damian Lillard a ton on this channel, and shout out to my boy Miami Clutch on Twitter for keeping track. I think we're now on day 54 of Dame Watch since the top 75 hooper of all time requested a trade specifically to the Miami Heat. Now, just a couple days ago, we got Jonathan Taylor, one of the top rushers in the entire game, still on his rookie contract at only 24 years old, has officially been given permission to seek out a trade. And it appears that not only have the Miami Dolphins made an offer, but they appear to be on his list. Now, to all my Miami sports fans out there, which trade is more likely? Well, this is actually an idea that my dad brought up to me. He texted me, so shout out to him. And I figured what a great idea to make a video on this topic as I kind of want to start incorporating some Dolphin stuff over here because I'm super excited about the season and I actually think they have a potential to be very, very good this year. So starting with what a potential Damian Lillard trade package would look like, we all kind of have an idea what that is. You got your salary filler in Lowry or Duncan Robinson, most likely Kyle Lowry, just because he's an expiring contract and Duncan has a lot of money for a lot of years for a guy who I don't think is all that great. Now, every time I say that, I get a bunch of comments defending Duncan Robinson because yes, he had an amazing playoffs, but in the regular season, he was getting coaches DNP for a reason. And for a guy getting paid that much money, that's a problem. So you're looking at Kyle Lowry as being majority of your salary filler, along with Tyler Hero, who of course all the talk is he'll be flipped to a third team. And then Miami will send out some combination of first round picks, probably 3 of them. And then obviously either Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez, some combination of all that. There was a report just the other day saying the Heat may be looking to keep Tyler Hero. And in that case, you would have to send out Duncan and Lowry and everything else. Now, would I do that? I certainly think I would. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Now, of course, it depends whether Caleb Martin was in that deal or not. I'm super high on Caleb. I think he's exactly what they need on this team, especially since you lost the perimeter defense of guys like Gabe Vincent and Victor Oladipo. I think Caleb Martin will be critical to this roster. And most importantly, if you add Dame, you're looking to win a championship this year. And Caleb Martin has proven that he is a big-time player in big-time games. So I actually would prefer to keep Tyler in the trade. There's a lot of Heat fans that have kind of soured on him after his injury history and in the biggest moments. I guess the opposite of Caleb Martin. But I'm still a fan of Tyler Hero. I get the fit with him and Dame is weird. But with how good Tyler's been, especially considering his age, I think he's only going to continue to get better. And hey, even if it doesn't work out in this starting lineup, he's still a trade piece that I think you can use down the line. But regardless, we're talking about getting Damian Lillard here. I said it earlier, he's one of the top 75 players of all time, one of the greatest shooters of all time. And I understand you have to give to get. So I am willing to give up essentially whatever it takes outside of Jimmy and outside of Bam. And of course, Miami would obviously do the trade too. I mean, they're kind of stuck in no man's land with having the same roster for the last few years. And yeah, they just made the finals last year. And yeah, they were one shot away the year before. And yeah, they did make the finals the year before that. But to me, it started to look like last year they got to a point where maybe they were a little bit tired of each other. And I think just injecting some new life into this team will really, really go a long way. I mean, the guys on the team even said adding Kevin Love at the buyout deadline did a lot for the team. Just to get some fresh faces in there. Because obviously, when you have the same roster for several years now, things start to get a little tiresome. And what better way to shake that up than bringing in Damian Lillard, a guy that's obviously great friends with Bam Adebayo. And obviously at this point, the Heat are kind of far in. Who knows how Tyler's feeling about this whole situation. So maybe they don't want to risk bringing in a disgruntled Tyler Hero into camp. Now, I don't think that's the case because especially over the last couple weeks, we've seen Tyler have a lot of interactions with not only Heat fans, but also the Heat players and staff themselves. He was with Chef Trilly on Twitter in a space. They were having fun going back and forth. And Trilly actually just met him at his camp. And obviously, if you guys don't know Chef Trilly, he's a big Heat fan, very, very popular on Twitter. Obviously, Tyler Hero was in the Miami Pro League. He was hanging out with Bam after that. I saw he was just working out with Chris Quinn. So it doesn't appear that Tyler Hero is disgruntled. But still, you never know how things could change, especially since his name has been thrown in so many trade rumors over the last 4 years. Same with Kyle Lowry, obviously this year and last year. And obviously, the Heat just want Dame because he's good. So they would do this trade as well. Now, as for Jonathan Taylor, I guess the trade package is a little less clear. We're not exactly sure what the market is going to be. I saw some reports saying they want a first-round pick. Some reports saying they want multiple second-round picks. I did see a report or an article from Bleacher Report about a month ago when Taylor first requested a trade, and then the Colts denied it, said they were keeping him, and now they just gave him permission to seek a trade. But I think the package they had was Miami sending Myles Gaskin and a second-round pick for Jonathan Taylor. Of course, I would do that. I would do that 100 times out of 100. But I also found this article from just a couple days ago when this stuff became more legit from Cody Williams of Fansided.com. And he basically has the Dolphins receiving Jonathan Taylor for a 24 and 25 second-round picks, a 24 fifth-round pick, and a 25 fourth-round pick. So would I do that trade? Absolutely. I mean, we said it earlier. Jonathan Taylor, not only is he one of the best in the game at his position, a position I think the Dolphins need. Now, people say the Dolphins running back room is fine, right? They got Mostert, they got Wilson, but they don't have who I think is the guy, you know? And especially, I think they struggled a lot last year on 3rd and inches, 4th and inches. We saw last year in the playoff game, Mike McDaniel didn't have a play for 4th and 1, and he didn't have a timeout left, so it went to 4th and 5. I think if you had a guy like Taylor, it might be as easy as, hey, give Taylor the ball, go get us a yard, and keep the chains moving. So I do think they could use Jonathan Taylor. I think he turned this already somewhat unstoppable offense into an even more unstoppable offense. I don't think that's crazy to say because for a large portion of last year, when Tua was healthy, the offense was unstoppable. Now, obviously, all of this comes down to Tua. If Tua can't stay healthy, then none of this other stuff matters. But point is, I think they could use Taylor. He's elite. He's only 24 years old. And I would give up all the draft capital because the Dolphins can't draft anyways. So why keep the pick and take another Noah Igbenogany when you could just send it over to Indianapolis, let them screw up the draft, and then we go ahead and get Jonathan Taylor. Now, I do know there's some cap implications of this. He's only getting paid $4.3 million this season because last year of his rookie deal. But then next season, of course, you'd have to re-up him. They're saying his market could be between 11 and 13 million. I saw one report say it could go as high as 20. And the reason that's a problem for the Dolphins is because they're already so high over the cap. And they're going to have free agents in Christian Wilkins next year, Zach Sealer, a few other guys. But those two specifically, I think you certainly want to keep. Of course, right now, they're in a little bit of a holdout with Christian Wilkins. He's kind of sitting out of practice because he wants his extension. And I would give the man his money. There was a little bit of debate on Twitter on whether you would rather or whether you would be willing to lose Christian Wilkins and his salary if it means bringing in Jonathan Taylor. For me, personally, I wouldn't. I am a monster fan of Christian Wilkins. He had a great season last year, and I think he's going to take another massive jump this year. He's such a unicorn at his position with his size and his athleticism and his ability to tackle that I think he is truly going to be one of the most important players on this team at a position they're not necessarily as deep in as the running back position. Even though I said I know they need Taylor, if they don't get Taylor, I still do like Mostert and Jeff Wilson. And they said Devon Achane is pretty good too. Hey, even Savon Ahmed and Myles Gaskin have had their moments with this team as well. I do want to note though, as far as the salary cap, football is way different than basketball. You can restructure contracts and do all kinds of funky things. So there's ways to make this work. If the Dolphins were to get Jonathan Taylor, I want to shout out what Barry Jackson said in the Miami Herald. He basically said, the Dolphins can make the 2024 cap hit not as bad if they were to give Taylor like a bigger bonus and then a small base salary with a 5-year contract. What exactly does that mean? I don't know. I'm not an NFL salary cap expert, but just know it's very complex and there's things they can do to make it work and be able to keep, Sealer, Wilkins, and Jonathan Taylor. So I think it's pretty clear that I personally would do both of these trades, and I also think the respective organizations would do these trades as well. But which trade is more likely to happen first? Well, the obvious answer to that is Jonathan Taylor, just because NFL season is closer. Another report came out today basically saying the Colts gave Taylor a deadline of August 29th, which is the day that all rosters have to be cut down to 53 people. So I do think that if both these trades were to happen, we would see the Taylor one first. Not to mention that Chris Greer is ultra aggressive when it comes to this stuff. When there's a star player available, if he wants him, he typically gets him. We just saw Tyreek Hill last year. I remember when it came out, they were Tyreek Hill requested a trade or whatever. I feel like within 10 minutes he was on the Dolphins. Bradley Chubb, similar story, even though that hasn't been as happy a result. I'm not the biggest Bradley Chubb fan, I'll leave it at that. But hey, he's on the first year of that max 5-year extension. Let's see if he finally does something. But anyways, it's proven that Greer gets his guys. That was kind of why I was surprised they didn't really go all in on Dalvin Cook and give him the money that he wanted. But hey, maybe it's because they knew they had a shot at Jonathan Taylor. So that remains to be seen. And of course, as far as Damian Lillard, I've said multiple times, and there was actually another official report today that the Heat and Blazers would kind of re-engage in training talks as training camp gets closer. Until then, I don't think there's any incentive on either side to get it done because there's nothing going on now. Every day on Twitter, I get people messaging me after the smallest bit of news comes out saying, oh, how do you still feel now? Do you still feel like it's when, not if? And I said, yes. I said, there's no chance Damian Lillard is not coming here. I still feel that way. So I guess if you were to ask me which of these two trades is more likely, not which will happen first, but which is more likely, either Jonathan Taylor or Damian Lillard, the answer is still Damian Lillard. I mean, Jonathan Taylor has a lot of suitors after him right now. I think they said there were 6 teams interested, 2 that officially made an offer, including the Miami Dolphins, and he's a good player. I think his value is a lot higher, and he hasn't came out like Damian Lillard and picked one team. That's certainly what it comes down to. I mean, Taylor is 24 years old, requested a trade for whatever reason, I don't know. Damian Lillard is what, 33, been with that organization 11 years, said, I want Miami, and I do believe that eventually that organization will do right by him. Whether it's by choice or whether they had no other options, but either way, I do believe the end result is Damian Lillard ending up with the Miami Heat. But let me know what you guys think down below. Which trade do you think is more likely and which trade do you prefer? Would you give up the whole table for either guy? Let me know down below. I'll be reading all y'all comments and potentially picking my favorite one and shouting y'all out next episode. I'm not sure how this video is going to perform. Typically when I talk about the Miami Dolphins on this channel, it's not well because we usually keep it Miami Heat over here. But I'm excited for the Dolphins, man. And I don't want to spam Damian Lillard only content like a lot of other channels and Twitter accounts are doing, because I'm trying to actually grow an audience over here and not just get a couple thousand views a video. I'm trying to think long term here. So that being said, make sure y'all check out my last video. It's kind of a deep dive into the D Wade versus purple shirt guy game, if y'all remember, back from the playoffs in 2016 versus Charlotte Hornets. Spent a lot of time in that video. I'm actually really proud of it. I think it's a really interesting story. Kind of found some quotes from him and mentioned some stuff that maybe you guys aren't aware. So if you are a Heat fan, I really think you'll like that video, and I appreciate if y'all check it out. But other than that, that's all I got for this video. So make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Helps me out a lot. Helps the algorithm push this out to everyone else so we can continue growing the channel. But I'll see y'all next time.
On Biscayne Boulevard next to D Wade, I'ma build you a stature. Haters going at ya, talking about catcher. Y'all ain't even real, can't fill out the capture. Freak accident, wrist fracture. Just wait for the hero come back like a back shot.